Hello everybody, it's on and it's time for another episode of Booking SWF. Now that the month has turned over, a lot of the wrestlers that I have hired for RIPW have now left their other companies. Of course, my broadcaster is unhappy because I did not meet minimum requirements. Whatever, we just have to move on. And Joe Sexy has an opinion that Hellion is a star in the making. I do agree, and I do want to give him a push somehow. I think he might be good as a enforcer type of role in a spooky heel faction, and that's, I think, the direction I want to take him. All right, now in the news, we have a very interesting development. I think in earlier episodes, one thing that I talked about, and we've seen it happen throughout this past month of news, is USPW likes to hire a lot of workers, but I have a feeling that all the hiring they've done in the save has clogged up their finances, and they're losing guys who are solid mid-carders. Sterling Whitlock is part of one of their top heel factions, and they're just going to let him walk from his deal. No contract extension. And taking a look at Whitlock, he's going to be pretty affordable. $40,000 a month is right in my mid-card range. So Ranger, Jefferson Stardust, and Huey Cannonball, Adam Smasher, ZWB, they're all making in that under 50,000, above 35,000 range. That's a good fit for him. And another thing that I've been trying to do is find someone for Demelza Wade to manage. Now, Demelza Wade has a swagger gimmick. Sterling Whitlock plays swagger well, and he's a natural heel. So I think that I could actually build a swagger stable around Demelza Wade. Because of that, I'm going to go ahead and look to lock in Sterling Whitlock. So since I can negotiate, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, I don't think I want to go above $50,000 in order to get him. He's somebody who is decent. He has 65 popularity in the United States and Canada. That's really good. He's popular in Mexico. He's solid, right? His skills in ring are quite good. I think these are solid mid-card skills. He doesn't have great charisma or microphone, but that's why I want to fit him in with a manager. So as long as he doesn't have bad chemistry with Demelza Wade, I think that is my angle to put him right into the mid-card. Let's negotiate and see how it goes. Everything that we have here is pretty standard. So unless we get into a bidding war somehow with maybe like TCW, I think I'm willing to go not above 50,000, but even if we land at like 45, that's fine. So I think starting at $40,000, which is what he should be worth anyway, is a good starting place. He is not a crazy superstar coming into the promotion, right? So I think 3 years is solid. I can work with that. Yep, we're going to make the offer official. We got to see if he is into that contract. It might take a few days, I'm not sure, but this is a big opportunity in my opinion. Okay, so the next thing I want to check out is my storylines and then my pre-booking for the next show, which is the Thursday show, and just make sure that everything is set up for that show. One thing I just want to make a note of, a segment is considered part of a storyline if the match or angle contains at least 2 workers and at least one has to be a major role, where they're not all aligned to each other. We got a trigger for advancing a storyline for Rat Pack Ruckus where Hollywood Brett Starr, who has a major role, and Paul Huntington, who has a major role, but they're not aligned to each other. That's where I went wrong with that. And then in Domination, I have Jefferson Stardust, who is supporting, Cannonball, who is supporting. So the 4 workers were in supporting roles, and that's why that did not trigger for the tag match. So I need to watch out for that and add notes for advancing storylines as necessary. pre-booking for Elite TV. So there isn't enough star power. That means I want to add some matches. I only have one match here, so yeah, that makes sense. So for pre-booking, all I did was add what I believe my main event is going to be, and that is Spencer Spade and Remo teaming up against Des Davids and Primus Allen. Basically two feuds that are happening and both sides are teaming up. It's enough to give me a small boost in attendance, so I will take it, and I think I'll stop there because in terms of matches, I'm not sure what else I want to add in there yet. So yeah, we're just gonna move on and get ourselves to show day. All right, we had our child company's show. Let's check out our mail and see if there's anything interesting. It looks like it's just more of our RIPW workers who are leaving their other companies. Let's go ahead and go into the booking portion of the day. Don't want to give the night off to anyone. As far as venue is concerned, I think we had our last show in the Southwest. And I might just stay there. I mean, this is just a couple days later, right? Let's check out the Northwest. What the plan might be is snake back around to the Southwest for the event, to be honest. We're going to say Northwest. And looks like about 10,000. Oh, higher cost is significantly less. No, wait, 25, yeah. 25,000 to 40,000. So I do think that we go with Salem, Oregon, just because the higher cost is lower. I mean, it's more capacity that we probably won't fill, but yeah. All right, select this one. All right, no pre-show incidents. That's probably a good thing. Let's go ahead and hit booking team meeting. All right, we have 142 creative energy. That is pretty good. We're starting to get above that 50 creative energy. I actually wonder, are we still getting certain penalties? Yeah, everyone's still finding their feet. Just looking at our stored ideas, we could probably do with a creative finish, maybe a storyline idea. Angle ideas are always helpful, but I might start with a creative finish. You have 142. So I can do a creative finish, an angle, and a storyline idea, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully I get 3 hits, but we're just going to go right down the line with creative finish, angle idea, and then a storyline idea, and we'll just see what we get. Start with the creative finish. And a near certainty, I cannot complain about that. That is awesome. We'll keep it and probably save it for our upcoming pay-per-view. Angle idea. A big gamble, and it's specifically for Randy Unleashed. I am going to discard this. So no angle idea. Let's see how the storyline idea goes. A safe bet. All right. That's good to have for sure. In case we need to boost the storyline, we'll hopefully have that succeed. So done. And we only have 12 points left, so we are finished with our creative meeting. Let's check out these locker room incidents. Randy Unleashed brightened the mood with some funny cartoon drawings. Very cool. Des Davids and Gary the Entertainer have been talking. Des Davids is professional. Gary the Entertainer is irresponsible. So this is a good thing. I like it. James Prudence and Alvin Lavin have bonded. All right. And that's all. Address the locker room. We're going to continue to meddle, I believe. And yeah, it's the Joe Sexy and Des Davids positive metal. We're still going to make sure that these guys work out their differences. Okay, our last rating for Elite TV was a 74, and don't love it. Let's hope we have a better one. All right, right into the pre-booking, and our main event is going to be this tag team match, so let's add it to the booking sheet, and we'll probably go with a storytelling match here. All right, just in terms of storylines, At this point, Des Davids is doing poorly in the storyline and he is kind of aged out of it. I think he will move on to other things before he comes back around into a world title picture. In my Rat Pack storyline, Primus Allen is doing fairly good, but Spencer Spade is doing fairly poor. And I want to make sure that I'm building up Spencer Spade. His momentum is still good, and I believe his popularity is quite good as well. But he's not going to win his next couple matches. So I think I want him to get a big win over Primus Allen. I also am going to make the changes to the storyline because I don't know that I care for the world title storyline to be affected by this, because there's other things that are going to affect it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and remove Des Davids here. And in Rat Pack, I'm going to add Des Davids in a major role, and I'm gonna align him to Primus Allen. I think the plan is to have Spencer Spade get a win over Primus Allen. I think what I'm gonna do is talk to Primus Allen and ask him if he's cool with losing to Spencer Spade on TV, which I really think he should be. No complaints. All right, cool. So it will be Spencer Spade getting the win over Primus Allen. We're gonna have this be a storytelling match. All these guys have decent stamina, but I think what I'm gonna do is have it be a 15-minute total segment, and that's gonna be 13 minutes of match time. So I don't think I'm gonna use the slow build. You really wanna have 15 minutes of match time for a slow build. High psychology is a big factor, and it's just skill-wise, we got 74, 65, 72, 73. Yeah, I don't think I'll go with slow build for this one. We're gonna say pinfall finish. What we're gonna do is have interference. Basically, when the Rat Pack shows up, everybody in the match except Spencer Spade is not happy about it. We're gonna allow spinal impact moves. I'm happy with our match staff, although this commentary got to get better. All right, let's go ahead and book our main event. We have another tag match that is part of our tag team tournament. Let's add it to the booking sheet. All right, so between these four workers, I want to protect Mainstream Hernandez a little bit. So I'm gonna have Dominic D'Souza take the loss, and I want to build Matty Faith's momentum, so he is going to get the victory. Part of the finish is going to be some botched interference by one of the Supreme Dream Team members, Justice Jolson. I'm also going to ignore the ban on spinal impacts. I made sure to add the storyline advancement for the tag team tournament. I'm just going to keep the match aim as regular, and I'm not going to play around with a slow build or all-out match. The workers are pretty good except for Dominic D'Souza, so I'm a little bit worried that he would get too big of a penalty if I added any other notes there. As far as the staff goes, I have Enforcer Roberts as the road agent and my best referee, Rick Young, in the referee spot. Let's go ahead and book this. And now I need to add the other matches and angles that I did not pre-book. Okay, friends, we are back. And first off, I will say I decided to change the skin for when I have my SWF Elite shows. So that explains the difference here. I've booked the rest of my show, and the pre-show is all to search for opponent chemistry or tag team chemistry. Now, the things to look out for the main show is going to be my top 3 matches. And the first one is going to be Rogue versus Marshall Dillon. And I think they can have a quality match. So hopefully this is one of the top 3 match ratings of the night. I did remove the ban on spinal impact for this match. Same goes for the tag team match between Swagger Incorporated and Faith in Old Glory. They are part of the storyline for the tag team tournament that's going on. That will get advanced, and hopefully they have a good match. It's 2 teams of decent workers So I'm pretty confident there. Then finally, my main event should be the best match of the night. Even though I did book this to be a storytelling match, it's all top workers. And also additionally, Des Davids will now transition into the storyline that Spencer Spade and Primus Allen are already in, because that's where he's going for our event at the end of the month. Now, as for angle ratings, every angle counts, but I'm really hoping that Rocky Golden's promo at the beginning gets a good rating. Rocky Golden can get great promo ratings all on his own, so I've been using him at the start of my show to get the crowd heat up, to get a good rating off the jump with the angles, so I hope that works out. We also have a brawl angle between Brandon James and Kip Keenan in order to advance that storyline. I'm hoping their skills are good enough to at least get a high 60s, maybe even 70s, low 70s rating. And the last angle that I'm hoping just boosts things is all going to rely on Gary the Entertainer. I'm going to start a storyline with him. He has great mic and charisma ratings. I don't know if that's going to translate into a good angle rating here. Doesn't necessarily mean it will, because his popularity isn't great. But the hope is he gets a decent rating for this angle and also starts to build his momentum and popularity so that he can become a top performer in the future. It's time to start the show, so let's go ahead and take a look at these pre-show matches and see if any chemistry shows up here. All right, this first pre-show match is a tag team match. Looks like it was pretty decent, got a decent rating, but I don't see any in-ring chemistry specifically, so that's really all we need to look for here. Let's move on. Another decent match, another decent rating. No chemistry, let's move on. John Greed and Letty Brown, decent match, decent rating for a pre-show, but no chemistry. Next we have Ranger and Charger Siaki. Actually pretty good rating for these guys, but no special chemistry happening. That's fine. And finally, Valiant seemed off his game. Valiant is continuing to get good ratings in these pre-show matches. And, really, I'm trying to keep him fresh for his next match, while also trying to maybe hit some chemistry here, which didn't happen in this particular match, but I don't like that he seems off his game. So it is time for our main show. We're going to start things off with that angle with Rocky Golden, and then a match that really needs to be a decent one. So hopefully we get 2 good ratings right from the jump. Okay, so this ends up being pretty good to start off our show. The segment was rated higher than what we need for our show rating, so I'm liking that. That's a good start. The crowd got hot and is rising, so that sets us up for our first match nicely. Not a steal the show type of crowd heat, but still a good start. The one glaring penalty we're getting is with the commentary, especially Franklin Fumier, who is very inexperienced. So basically what this means is that the commentary rating was much lower than the potential segment rating that Rocky Golden could provide, which we still got a decent rating here. One thing to note in the dirt sheet is we can also see that the storylines involved have low heat compared to what the rating would be, so there was a slight penalty there. Even though the world title trouble, this 81 is accurate. It's higher technically than the 79, but I think what that means is that the potential rating would have been higher than 81, so because the storyline was rated lower, there's just a slight penalty. But we did a pretty good job getting this rating here. So no complaints. We're set up for a good show so far. Let's see what the next segment, which is our first match of the night, brings us. All right, so first match, not so great. Crowd is still hot, so that's cool. We did get penalized for a few things, mainly commentary experience and then lack of associated storyline. But just based on the performances, I don't think the penalties were so great that, we would have been in the range that I was hoping for anyway. It is what it is. We'll have to work with this. So the next segment is an angle, and we got another pretty good angle rating. We also got the crowd white hot. I am impressed with this. I definitely was not expecting that, but we're looking pretty good with this rating, and I really do like how Chrissy Angel tends to get good ratings when she's on the mic. So I do plan on using her more, and there's a few ways I might do that, but this is just good to see, and it looks like maybe this particular storyline can turn around and become something I can work with, at least through this next event that's coming up. We have another angle and then a match. Even if we have a very hot crowd, I actually don't think that there's any reason to put Steal the Show into these matches here. From this point forward, I have everything sorted out and we just see how things shake out. Ooh, not too bad. I was a little worried about this one, but I did use an angle idea to try to help boost the rating. And to be honest, it's a very short angle, so getting this rating is surprising in a good way. So I think we're looking pretty good for the angle side of the rating so far, and hopefully our matches just get better as the night goes on. I'm not sure how this next one is gonna go, but I do have to say that I'm pretty happy with this. All right, let's see what our next segment does. This is not great. We're hot but cooling. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to be white hot, very hot throughout the entire show. The crowd can get exhausted, but I don't love what happened here. It looks like the team here that I put together from the local workers was not great. They didn't work well together. Yeah, it's good to see that Adam Smasher and even Bear Bukowski with a 61 got good ratings here. To be honest, like Adam Smasher is somebody who I think going forward, I do want to push a little bit as a singles competitor. Essentially, what's important here is that because our product is 3-ring circus, this match doesn't matter in the rating. The lowest rated matches after the top 3 just don't matter technically. There is a segment right after this that's an angle where basically these jobbers continue to get beat up, so hopefully that goes well. Let's see how this next angle goes, and it's an all right one. At least it kept the crowd at a hot heat. We didn't drop anymore. We were hot and cooling, but we kind of maintained. 63 isn't terrible. It's not great, but hopefully it doesn't drop us too low that we can't make up for it. All right, let's just go right into our next segment here. And another angle, it's a 67. Not great. Would have been nice if this was a better rated segment. The crowd did get a lot hotter though, so there's that. Let's just look at the booking screen and see what's next. I believe it's the next match. Yes. Next up is our tag team match, and this is a big segment because one of our 3 main matches here, and I'm really hoping we get a good rating. Again, we're white hot, but I don't know if Steal the Show is really appropriate here. I'll tell you why. All right, consistency, we're in the 70s. That's really good. 60s. I don't think Mass Patriot is really that great either with consistency. So that's why I will just leave it as is and just gonna let it rock. All right, let's continue the show and see how this tag team match actually shakes out. 69, that's not great. And again, we're getting a penalty on the commentary. Yeah, we're not looking too great for our match ratings here. We're really gonna need a big rating on our main event. I'm thinking like 85 plus to make up for the previous match ratings, but we'll see. It's possible. We do have some good in-ring workers in that match, so I still have a bit of hope. All right, all we can do is go on to the next segment. This is also going to be an angle next that I'm hoping does quite well, although I don't really feel like it's likely to, so we'll see. So let's go ahead and continue. And wow, it's not 77 plus, but to be honest, I think Gary the Entertainer did a great job, even though it doesn't seem like he is the best part of this segment. I think what we really want to take away here is Robbie Wright and Gary the Entertainer playing off each other and having comic relief as being part of what they're doing was a success. So this is something maybe I'll try to replicate with them and similar workers in the future. But we are utilizing two storylines here, and the storyline that has Robbie Wright and Oliver Cobb in it, it has low heat, so I know there was a penalty for that, but overall, good segment. I'm pretty pleased with it. So not bad. Let's see if our next segment, which should be a pretty simple one, gets at least a decent rating. And yeah, it does. 71. That's pretty good. Hopefully our segments do kind of add up to something close to 77. I actually don't think they probably do, but I'm really relying on the main event match to kind of make up for everything else on this show. So time for the main event, and the whole show hinges on this thing, so let's see how it goes. Not great. 75. Decent just generally, but it's not going to push this show over the edge. There's just no way. But the commentary does really hurt, so I do kind of accept that this show will have poor commentary. Not really sure how to flip that into good enough ratings. Also, this was a storytelling match, so that will suppress the rating a bit, and I know that I'm going to get more matches with most of these guys, so I just don't want to fly too close to the sun in that regard, right? So we'll have to wait and see if this was the right call. I'm thinking more long game than short game, but to be honest, every time we don't hit the rating for a show, we run the risk of losing the broadcaster, and I don't want that to happen too quickly. Also, I'm trying to grow the company, so show ratings are key in making sure that that continues to happen. Okay, all we can do now is finish the show and see what our fate is for the final show rating. And a 72, that's about where I was thinking we'd go. Not great. We lost some popularity in probably the United States regions, but we are increasing popularity around the rest of the world. Just a quick look at our segments here. Our best segment was just the opening promo by Rocky Golden. Our other angles were not great, and that definitely doesn't help. And then we really just didn't have a third good match. Not that the other two matches were really where I needed them to be, but there just wasn't a third match that was in the 70s. It is what it is. Let's finish the show, and financial report. We made money, so that's all we're looking for there. Popularity recap. Again, as expected, losing some popularity in the US, kind of holding steady in the rest of North America, and then in all the places where this show is reaching that Supreme TV is not, we are still just gaining popularity, and that's kind of like the give and take with having this second show. I'm increasing my popularity in the rest of the world, and I am just really hoping to maintain it back home and then let Supreme TV and my events boost the local popularity regions. That will do it for this particular show. We're gonna go back to the office and then set up our Supreme TV episode. Okay, friends, we have some sad news. We never had a SWF Elite show that hit the 77 rating that our broadcaster wanted, and so we've been canceled. That's it for SWF Elite, and I've thought about what to do with my programming. And honestly, the issue is I can't get any deal within the next 3 months. So it's going to take at least 3 months for any broadcaster to consider putting this show back on. Even if I modify it to a B show, this isn't going to get airtime. Like, I tried B show, just 1 hour. It's not happening for 3 months. Like, that's just how it works when you get your show canceled. So at least we still have Supreme TV on the air. I'm going to plan to double down on at least an 81 rating in this next episode, go with the event, and then I really just need to make sure that I have high quality Supreme TVs. We'll take the next 3 months of having just one show a week. It might actually be better to have just the one show going forward, and that's fine. Gonna take a look at the mail here. I know the one thing that we're gonna find All right, Jack Bruce is back from his hiatus. That's good. No more Elite. And it looks like we have some opinions. Gary the Entertainer is liked by Adam Smasher. So, all right, that's a good thing. And then in Des David's opinion, he likes Lenny Brown. Maybe we'll see if these guys will pair up potentially. I don't know. Drug test fees, viewing figures, and obviously the broadcaster is not happy if they canceled our show. Okay, so as far as storylines go, my world title storyline is still the hottest one. Everything else is in a pretty good place. I don't like how this feud is going, and I may just end it at the next TV show instead of putting it in the event. Okay, so I kind of set things up in the worst way possible for what we have going on in this storyline, which is essentially for the tag titles. There's some spoilers here, but the event essentially is going to have these three teams in a three-way match. The problem is these two are in a supporting role, and they really should be a major role, but I did not plan this properly. They're in a major storyline here, which is actually hotter, and it's too late for me to really add them into this storyline as the major role. I'm actually not sure who's going to win the match at the event, to be honest, but I think the plan right now is to keep this storyline active so that either it ends with a title match directly after the event or one final battle on TV that kind of ends the feud, because I think the next tag team title feud is going to just be a continuation of the Mass Patriot Matty Faith team versus the Awesomeness team, Cannonball and Stardust. And then I have different plans for who will be the former tag team champs. All right, so for the pre-booking of this show, and I am pre-booking because I have the game set so that pre-booking is mandatory, which does worry me a little bit for our event coming up because I don't have anything pre-booked yet. In the pre-booking, I have my main matches set, and I'll stop there only because we're going to avoid penalties and get a small boost, so that's all we need for the pre-booking. Because I have mandatory pre-booking turned on, I need to pre-book my event, because anything that's not pre-booked more than a week in advance of the event is not going to get the bonus, and I won't be able to avoid penalties for not having pre-booked. So I added all of my main matches into the pre-booking here, and what we have is a large boost to attendance. So that's good, and that's what I want. That's the purpose of doing the pre-booking. So we're all set, not just for our upcoming event, but to move forward to the next day and then eventually to book our next episode of Supreme TV. So let's go ahead and get that going. Nothing was doing over the weekend, but it seems that here on Monday, we found out that Primus Allen got hurt at a house show. He should be able to continue working. Let's check out the mail, and let's look at this. Broken ribs. It'll take a few weeks, but he shouldn't miss dates. He's supposed to have two big matches coming up. One tomorrow night at the TV show, and then one at the event. I think he should be able to get through them, so I'm going to have him continue to work. After that, I mean, honestly, with our TV show getting canceled, it kind of throws a wrench into all my plans. So I'm really not sure what's going to happen after this event. But Primus Allen, I'm going to be careful with him, but not until we finish this week out. So let's delete that one. House show was held in the Southwest, and that's cool. And our house show monitor, no good or bad, no good or bad, no good or bad, and neither good or bad. So okay, that's fine. I might refresh our house show monitor, and then we're going to move on because the next day is our show. All right, we jump to the Tuesday of our next Supreme TV, and it looks like we have a notification here. We had sent a contract offer to Sterling Whitlock, and it looks like he's ready to sign. I do think he is better as a heel, so I just want to double check that. I plan on using him as a heel, but yes, he is better as a heel. So make him a heel. Do we request medical? What's his deal? Oh, he looks like he's doing well. I'm just going to go ahead and complete the signing. Okay, cool. So we completed the signing. He has 24 days before he actually becomes available to us. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. I don't think we start paying him until then, until we actually can use him. Okay, yes, yet to begin for Mr. Sterling Whitlock. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead to the evening portion of the day and book Supreme TV. Okay, no one is getting the night off. Let's select a venue here, and I think our house show is in the Southwest. I think this is where I want to have my event. Yeah, we were just here in the Southwest last week, so let's not do that. I think I will have my event here, but let's see Midwest. Okay, now this is going to be a bigger show than the last time we were in town here. Since last time we were in Minnesota, this time we will have our show in Iowa, and there's plenty of space. Even the smaller venue doesn't cost any less, so there's no reason to sell out. I don't know that there's really like a sellout bonus. So here we go, select this venue. Okay, time for the booking team meeting. This is always an interesting exercise. Let's see what our stored ideas are. And we have angles. We do want to make sure we have some creative finishes for sure. So I think because all of my stories are hot at the moment, I do want to have some creative finishes in the bag for our upcoming event. So I'm going to go ahead and try for 2 creative finishes. We have one that's a safe bet that is specifically for Des Davids. I like that. Save that. And we're going to try for another creative finish. Another safe bet. And this one's for Remo. I really love that, especially with what could potentially happen at the event and his match there. So this is some really good stuff. 2 good creative finishes, and that's all we have creative energy for. Let's go ahead and finish the meeting. And now we got locker room incidents. All right, so Remo and Joanne Rodriguez are having an argument. Why guys? Joanne Rodriguez seems to just be more trouble than she's worth, but I don't know. All right, that's it. Locker room incidents are done. Address the locker room. I think we're going to continue with our meddling project between Joe Sexy and Des Davids. All right. Hopefully we find out shortly if that has any effect. Okay. 76 was our last rating, and if we look back, we did hit an 84, but we had previously 3 shows in a row that were not above an 81. So I feel like we are in desperate territory here. I was surprised that the other TV show got canceled so quickly, and that has me nervous that we are teetering on the edge. So my goal from now on when I book the TV shows is to put on the best shows possible. I know I got my event lined up. I do want to put on good events, but the TV shows are going to really be the focus for the short term. So let's make this one a good one. I'm going right into pre-booking. And now my main event is supposed to be Primus Allen and Spencer Spade. Let's add it to the booking sheet, but I want to look at Primus Allen. Yeah, he has broken ribs, so I think I'm going to try to keep at least this match short. It would be great if I could have these guys try to steal the show. His injury might interrupt that. But let me just evaluate things, put the match together. Okay, I've decided to treat this match like Primus Allen is not injured. If something goes terribly wrong with the match, so be it. But even for the event, I'm more comfortable with Primus Allen taking it easy in that match than risking the rating for this TV show. So I am going to shoot for Steal the Show. Hopefully that does work. It'll be scripted. Primus Allen wins via disqualification. I'm also going to put a slow build, and basically it's going to be interference that DQs him. We're going to have an angle that kind of wraps up what the stipulation for the title match at the event is going to be. And I've been taking the ban on spinal impact moves off when it's a main match. I'm leaving it here just because Primus Allen is injured, so I am being cautious of that, but I do have my best workers on staff there. So let's go ahead and book this up. And now let's go with the tag match first, because this is fine-ish. It's going to happen. That way I can end the story. But with the Awesomeness, Faith, and Old Glory, this is going to be quite an ordeal. So let me book this up and we'll discuss what the plan is. All right, so this match is going to be, hopefully, if the crowd heat is right, Steal the Show with a slow build. The finish is going to be a time limit draw, and that's going to lead to an angle where we establish it's going to be a 3-team match for the tag team belts. I got top road agents and referee in there, and we're going to go for a solid 20 minutes. I think these workers can do that without a problem, especially having the slow build there in the notes. So let's go ahead and book this. And now we have Brandon James and Kip Keenan. I am going to add this to the booking sheet. You know, just to be honest, the storyline here is just not getting any more heat. It's just not worth it anymore. But essentially, the finish just establishes that Brandon James and Chrissy Angel have no actual issues between the two of them. This was their plan all along, to seduce and beat the heck out of Kip Keenan. So let's book this up, and then in terms of storylines, I think most of them will close, and I'm going to set up new storylines right after the event. I do think the churn of storylines is better if it's faster. I guess my fear is always having the 5 storylines that are rated hot and above, but we really haven't had a problem so far with getting hot storylines right from the beginning. So as long as we decisively start a storyline and have a good rating, I don't think we'll run into the issue where we're short hot storylines. I think I'm also going to add some angles to set up the inclusion of Steven Parker into the Rat Pack storyline. Essentially, this storyline, if I planned this better, I probably should have ended this story and then had 2 separate storylines in order to build to 2 different matches. But essentially, we're going to close out this storyline. I think it's overdue for us to close this storyline and kind of reassess. That's where we're at. I'm going to finish booking the show, and then we'll talk about everything that's going on before we actually go ahead and jump into gorilla position. All right, so we have our entire show filled out now. The pre-show, real simple. I'm just fishing for in-ring chemistry, so that's what that's all about. Now for the main show, here are the things to look out for. We're going to open the show with a big promo. It's going to feature 3 of the top guys in the company: Rocky Golden, Remo, Jack Bruce. The goal is to get a high rating and also to get the crowd very hot. That should, 1, boost our angle ratings for the rest of the show. Hopefully, I'm hoping to get into at least the 80s, hopefully mid 80s and higher. Then we can keep the Steal the Show match aim for our tag match, but there is a potential for me to switch maybe this Brandon James and Kip Keenan match if we don't have a very hot crowd, but hopefully I don't have to make that decision. With the angles, I think maybe another potential good rating, just ratings wise, we could have this Des Davids promo, and then maybe even like the very last promo. There's a Valiant promo as well. I'm hoping that goes well. I think for the most part, our angles should be pretty solid. As for the matches, obviously we have our tag match that I'm hoping to be a Steal the Show match. Our main event should be good, but I will note that in the booking analysis, we do have a warning for Primus Allen's rib injury. Now, I'm just going to book him for this show and the event as if he doesn't have an injury, and we'll see what happens. After this, I think I will give him a break in order to heal up, but I don't have an alternate plan for his next 2 matches, so it will be what it will be. And of course, for my matches, I'm looking for 3 solid matches because of our product, 3 Ring Circus. The third best match, I think, actually will be this Rogue and Oliver Cobb match, just based on their in-ring skills. And because of that, I did remove the ban on Spinal Impact, even though I don't think that they're good enough to steal the show. And this is a storytelling match. There's, I think, more potential here for this to be better rated, but alternately could be Brandon James and Kip Keenan, but one of the 2 is going to be the third best match because I do have a squash match with Scythe, but I know that's not going to work. It's a 5-minute match. That's not going to get the third best rating, I hope. What we really need for this show is at least an 81 rating to keep our broadcaster happy. If that doesn't happen, it's panic mode, and I don't even want to really get into what I would potentially do. But all right, here we go. We have a show and we're ready for it to start. We have 4 pre-show matches, so let's see how they go. A pretty good pre-show match. I don't see any chemistry, so we'll just move on to match 2. Match 2, again, no great in-ring chemistry, decent rating, especially for pre-show. Third pre-show match, nothing special going on, decent rating. And final pre-show match, again, decent rating, but no special in-ring chemistry. Okay, all right, so there is nothing else to do except to see how this show goes. Let's start. Okay, we are starting with an 83. That's solid. It's not as high as I would have hoped for. Also, Remo's not good at improv. That kind of concerns me because I do plan on running a program in some way between Remo and Jack Bruce, and Jack Bruce does not like a script, but maybe I won't have them do a lot of promos together. Also, what I see here is we are only at a hot crowd. That's not terrible, but it's also not great. And that means I might move around the order of things because I do want to give myself a shot at having Steal the Show as the match aim for the tag match. Just looking real quick at what our best ratings were in each segment. Rocky Golden and Remo's Primo were the best. They basically had a character development promo together, and then Jack Bruce had his own solo promo with non-speaking appearances by Golden and Remo. So I feel like Bruce kind of dropped the ball here, even though I let him improvise like he wanted to. Funnily enough, the entrances and the signing were both work the crowd, so maybe it's a little bit too much of the same thing. I don't know. The Eisens also had cutting a promo to open things off. They did a decent job, but it was the worst part of the angle, which I kind of expected. Also, by the way, I ended their storyline because without a second show, there's no reason to continue the storyline. But I do have Jerry Eisen foreshadow to turn heel, and I think I'm going to do that in a different way, but I think it's still going to happen. So we are off to a strong start. That's a nice note to see. I think I am going to go to the booking screen and rearrange the order of the show a little bit. All right, so since the crowd is only hot, I do want to wait for this next match. So let me rearrange. We're going to go with our next match being Brandon James and Kip Keenan, and then the tag match will happen. I might save the tag match until even later. We'll see how these next 2 segments go, honestly. Yeah. Okay. So let's see how the match goes with Brandon James and Kip Keenan. All right, 65. So I was not expecting this match to be great anyway, and yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, the storyline gains heat now that they had a match. That's fine. Hot crowd, that's cool. But yeah, we're ending this storyline with the next segment, and honestly, there's no reason to keep it around. But decent. Let's see what the post-match segment brings us. All right, so we got a 66. Not a great rating for an angle, and that's okay. We had a hot start with our angle ratings to begin with, and I think we are only going to have better ratings as our angles continue on. So we have a hot crowd. I'm going to return to the booking screen and just see what we have going on. I think I am going to continue to delay this tag match if we don't get a very hot crowd. I doubt this angle will get us there, but you never know. So let's see what happens, and then I'll rearrange as needed. All right, we are only hot, so I am going to go ahead and rearrange things to try to get that very hot crowd. This was not a good segment rating. This is definitely going in the wrong direction. I actually had more hope for Stephen Parker and Kristen Pierce. I mean, Joanne Rodriguez was part of it, but it was an interview. Whenever I do, interviewer and being interviewed, that really just doesn't end up working out nicely. Man, Joanne Rodriguez doesn't have a good gimmick. I'm going to make a note of that. It's something we have to fix, especially since I just hired her and now I don't have a job for her to do, so I need her to do something. We only have a hot crowd. I am going to move this Oliver Cobb match here. That also means Des David's promo is going to go here. Yeah, so basically try to get a decent match. Hopefully Des Davids can have a really good promo and get the crowd to a very hot level, and we keep this steal the show match aim. We might not get there, and also I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about my show, but let's see what happens with this next match. This is what I predicted to be the third best match of the night, so let's see if we get into a range that is comfortable. No, this was pretty terrible, and even Rogue was not very good here. Wow, was the other match rating 65? Wow, this really did not turn into the match I thought it could be. Yeah, not loving that. I don't know if it was specifically because it was a storytelling match, but so I mean, there is a penalty for holding back. I really just thought that they would be a little bit better than that. All right. I mean, that is what it is, and we're just gonna have to move on. I mean, I guess we do have that scythe match that could get maybe a decent rating, but I don't know. All right, all we can do is move on. We are going to return to the booking screen here, and right, we do have another promo, so this is it. Let's see what the crowd heat is. First of all, we're only hot. That's okay. The segment rating, pretty good, giving us hope here. Let's see. And Des Davis improvised well. I had seen this before, so I did set him to improvise. But with only a hot crowd, we're going to go and make that tag match a regular match, and hope it shakes out well. Just going to make sure we change the match aim to regular. This is a big match here. It really needs to be a good one. Let's see how it goes. Woo, 80. I'm pretty happy with that. It's not as high as we really need, but I'm just happy it's not lower. We did well. Now we're white hot. Hopefully that carries us into at least a very hot crowd by the time we get to the main event. That also will likely help our rating for the scythe match and then the Valiant promo immediately after that. So hopefully we start to snowball here. Maybe I should have just had this match earlier to get a hotter crowd for the other matches and segments, but let's just move on and see how this promo goes. Hopefully the crowd heat boosts it a little bit. And not bad. It's a 73, especially considering that the bulk of this segment is a promo by Adam Smasher. So looking all right. All right, we do have a quick promo, and that's fine. We then have our match. So let's see how both those go. 65 on the promo, not great. We're really gonna have to have a good end to the show in order to bring this thing back around. Even the storyline lost a bit of heat. That's not great, but I'm hoping that really it's the matches that keep this storyline alive and going, and that'll be coming up at the next show. All right, now we have that scythe match, and terrible, which would be fine if we had a third good match, but we don't, and I really don't think we're gonna get saved by the main event. At the very least, we are very hot. I'm hoping this angle is really good. I'm hoping Valiant can push this angle into a really good rating, but honestly, I just don't know if it's possible. And it's an 80. It's an 80, which is good, but I don't think it makes up for everything else, but it is good. All right, now we're at the main event. We really just have 2 more segments to go, and we're not in a great position. I mean, we have 2 good ratings, 1 good match. Everything else is just falling short, and I'm really thinking that we're gonna be below an 80 overall. I need a lot to hold the rating back up where I feel like we're gonna be over 80. And the fact that one of my wrestlers in the main event has an injury, I don't see that happening. This next click will determine what happens. Let's see. 81. And yeah, I just don't think that's going to be enough. I don't see us getting the overall show rating that we need, but we'll see what happens. The storyline they're in gained heat. The injury was a big problem, but I mean, overall did well despite that. Good workers. Maybe the match was a little bit long, but we did get a really good rating considering the worker performances. So the crowd heat and the match aim, I think, really helped here. All right, so a slight bit of hope with this rating here. Let's see how the last segment goes. 74, it's not gonna be enough. It's not gonna be enough. We're looking at like high 70s, I think, maybe somewhere between like 75 and 80, but it's not enough. And now I'm super nervous that our TV show is gonna get canceled. I really think it is after this. Yeah, it's time to finish this show and see what our fate is. A 78. So again, it's a decent rating, but it's just not enough for our broadcaster. All right, so let's finish. Financial report, we made money, that's good. Popularity recap, we didn't do anything except get small gains in parts of North America, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But really it's this show rating that it's kind of devastating. If we don't get canceled, then I'm gonna have to make these shows a lot safer, meaning good matches, simple angles that have workers that can get high ratings. Fingers crossed, hopefully. So we'll see. I think that will do it for another long episode of Booking SWF. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when the next episode is released and every time it's on.